Recently, there was something interesting that happened. The New York Times wrote a positive story about Bernie Sanders. Wow, okay, that's good. That rarely happens in the establishment press. So obviously, it had to be corrected. Now, wait till you get a load of this unbelievable bias, and a bias that they have now admitted. So the positive article had the headline, Bernie Sanders scored victories for years via legislative side doors. So now if you read the article, it says, okay, now here's how he worked with some people, including John McCain and other Republicans, to actually get things done. Even though he is the most liberal senator, he was actually fairly effective in getting all these different pieces of legislation done. Now that's accurate, that's true, those are facts. And they had quotes from John McCain and others, and also, of course, progressives, lauding him. Well, that cannot stand. You can't have a pro-Bernie article in the establishment press. They hate him. Now, don't just trust me on that. I've been telling you that, and I've proved it over and over again with headlines from all these different places, right, and coverage on cable news. Now, get a load of what they did to Bernie Sanders in the paper of record, okay? They changed the title from a positive one to this one. Via legislative side doors, Bernie Sanders won modest victories. Now, two things happen here. I know it's subtle. First, they put the side doors first, like through the side doors. He got modest victories. So they're not interesting and important victories anymore. Now they're just modest victories, and he got them through the side door. Now, the side door was in the first title too, but it wasn't a point of emphasis. Now you say, okay, hey, Cenk, wait. Now that's not that big a deal. Let's dive into the story and see what else they have. They had a positive quote from John McCain about how Bernie Sanders, the guy who they say can't get anything done with the Republicans, actually got something done with the Republicans. Take it out. Gone. Not interested in that. Okay, there was a quote from Warren Gunnels, who's a policy advisor for Bernie Sanders, who actually worked with him to get things done when he's in Congress. And he said we were, quote, very successful, right? Well, and also the very fact that they got the legislation passed shows they were indeed very successful. That's removed. That's gone. We can't have those positive things in the article anymore. Okay? Instead, language like this gets added in. With few sweeping legislative achievements in a quarter century in Congress. So after they say, yeah, he got these things done, but it was a few achievements in a quarter century in Congress. Don't give the guy any credit. What were we thinking? By the way, you know what they did? They had the positive article up for Monday morning. A bunch of supporters of Bernie Sanders go, oh, wow, amazing. We finally got a positive article. New York Times and the establishment press, they send around, including Bernie Sanders himself, puts it out on social media. And then they're like, psych, now we're changing it. Was there an editor's note saying it's been changed? Nope. So now it seems like Bernie Sanders is sending around a negative article about himself. But if you read it, it never says that it was changed. Okay, what else did they put in there? Language like this. Tacking on amendments to larger bills to succeed at the margins. We're so sorry. We were actually fair and honest about him for one brief moment, for a couple of hours on a Monday morning. No, we can't have that. Now all of his victories have to be diminished, like we did in all the elections. Oh, he won Vermont, but that's his home state. He won New Hampshire, but that's close to his home state. He won Kansas and Colorado and Minnesota. They're too white. Kansas is weird. That's a weird caucus. Everywhere he wins is weird or white or too pro-Bernie. Are there articles about how the states Hillary Clinton wins are too pro-Hillary Clinton? No. Are there articles about all of our legislative achievements being not important, de minimis, etc.? By the way, you could write that article, but they haven't written it yet. But when it comes to Bernie Sanders, oh my God, hey, Jennifer, what did you write this article for? Are you crazy? Saying, Bernie, give me that article. Some editor, for some reason, which we'll talk about in a second, we'll have to figure out why, decided, no, I'm going to knock this guy down a peg. But I haven't gotten to the worst part. They inserted these two paragraphs. By the way, nothing they have inserted so far is a fact. It's not like, hey, Jennifer, you wrote this article, but we can't have it because you forgot to mention this fact and this percentage and this piece of legislation. No, only snarky opinion is added into this New York Times factual piece, okay? Then they added these two paragraphs out of nowhere. Quote, but in his presidential campaign, Mr. Sanders is trying to scale up those kinds of proposals as a national agenda. And there's little to draw from his small ball legislative approach to suggest that he could succeed. Mr. Sanders is suddenly promising not just a few stars here and there, but the moon and a good part of the sun, from free college tuition paid for with giant tax hikes and a huge increase in government health care, which has made even liberal Democrats skeptical. Not a fact in there. Instead, snark. Like, even Democrats, liberal, yeah, he's running against a Democrat. Yes, all the Democratic politicians have endorsed her. Wow, some Democrats are also skeptical of him. Right. Do you have any quotes? Do you have any facts? No, nothing. Oh, they're promising the moon and the stars with this legislative record. They hate him. They can't stand him. I don't mean they hate him as in they dislike him personally. I mean that there's something about Bernie Sanders where these editors, not just at the New York Times, but as we showed you in the Washington Post and as we've shown you in many other places, look at him and go, ugh, not that guy. Derisive, dismissive, obnoxious, condescending. Because why? Bernie Sanders might change things. New York Times is the paper of record. You think they want things changed? They like their position at the top. They don't want any other paper coming in there. They don't want any change. And they don't even know it. If you told them that, they'd be like, that's outrageous. Even though I just freaking proved it to you. I just showed it to you, right? And I'm not the only one. You know who else agrees? The New York Times public editor herself. She came out and lambasted them. She says, the changes, this is Margaret Sullivan, public editor for the New York Times, the changes to the story were so substantive that a reader who saw the piece when it first went up might come away with a very different sense of Mr. Sanders' legislative accomplishments than the one who saw it hours later. Now, why? Why do they do it? Now, in this case, the worst case scenario is there's a Hillary Clinton supporter who called up a friend. They've all known each other for decades. That's what I'm talking about. They don't realize what they're doing is malicious some of the time. By the way, this is the best. This is the worst case scenario because this would involve actual corruption, though. A Hillary Clinton supporter, staff member, etc., calls an editor at the New York Times and says, hey, turn that positive piece into a hit job for me. And he goes, okay, great, no problem, I can do. The best case scenario is they just do it for her because they've all lived together and worked together for decades. None of them want real progressive change. They like the system as it is. They won in this system. So they're like, no. It's in their instincts. They viscerally can't stand Bernie Sanders. They can't stand the idea of change, and they have to support the establishment candidate. No, his accomplishments mean nothing. No. We're going to write this so he looks bad and not good, okay? Why? If you ask him why, well, come on, it's not realistic. Bernie Sanders is not going to win. He's not electable, but your own polls show he's more electable than Hillary Clinton. No, I don't listen to the polls. I don't listen to facts. I can't stand the guy. That's what this establishment press is. I'm sure they'd be shocked and chagrined to know that people think that. Then why? Why'd you do it? Who was the editor who did it? Come on, New York Times. Now look, there again, Margaret Sullivan fessing up to more. She says Sullivan said she asked editors about the change, and they claimed that they wanted to add nuance and depth. Where's the depth? Where are the facts? No, you wanted to smear him. She says, fair enough, but in this case, I don't agree. Okay, any reasonable person reading those two different articles would not agree. So who's the editor? Is there going to be any consequences? Are they going to be suspended, fired? And more important than that, I just want to ask him, why don't you come on the show, right? You'll never do it, right? Oh, online media. Well, the one that has so many more views than us online. Oh, the people like them. No, I do declare. We're the establishment. We'll never go on there. Okay, then go on anywhere you like and answer the goddamn question. Why did you doctor that story? Why'd you do it? I'm curious. Are you a Hillary supporter? Are you paid by Hillary supporters? Or do you just think, I don't like Bernie Sanders, and I had to put a hatchet in his back? What is it? You explain it. Because right now, that looks awful. So that's what the New York Times has turned into. So when we say the establishment media is against Bernie Sanders, we, unlike them, have facts to prove it. So here's an excellent case of it. And there are many others, and we've shown you. Here's what the people in power don't want: change.